record. Okay, so what we're going to talk about tonight is a power hour. And so we felt like this was a good topic to touch on tonight because school's starting. A lot of you are getting back into that mode. You're switching from summer mode to back at school mode, and maybe you have kids that are in school, and so you're trying to transition from, like, kids had summer activities, then we had a little break, and now they're back at summer activities. And so just kind of touching on the things that you need to do every day and fitting them in a half an hour or an hour. And so one of the things too, and Megan and I were talking about this, I'm like, this is actually really good because even some of my coaches, I can tell they're like, well, you're home now. Like, you have time to do everything on your list. And you guys, that's not the truth. Like, nap time is literally when I have time to work. And so I'm talking like an hour and a half at the most. And that's checking in my challenge groups, doing all of the extra stuff too. So wanting to try and fit that in with you guys and kind of go through this. So I'm going to share my screen. And I think what we're going to do is we'll like talk about different tasks, and then I'll kind of show you what I do, and then Megan can pop in, and then I'm going to give you like 3 minutes to go and do that. So this is going to be really interactive. If you haven't worked your power hour today, you're going to get a chance to do that as well. So I'm going to show you also how I kind of track in Streak and how I also track in Teamsy. So I do use both. If you use one and you prefer that, or you use neither, or you have no idea, hopefully this can maybe give you some traction. And I will admit, you guys, this has been the way that I function my power hour, the way that I track everything. It's a work in progress. Don't flip out if you're like, oh my gosh, how does she organize this? How does she know this? Like, this is 2 years building up to this point. And so I honestly say I can feel like I have a system down that works, but I'm constantly tweaking it. I think that's what's important, and that's the change. So we're going to talk about this quadrant sheet too, and this is something that I'm going to create probably as a PDF, so you guys can just print it off or share it so that you can just type in here if you want to. But this is like daily things that you should be doing. And I can scroll down. This is me from other coaches, but we're going to talk about these a little bit, and then here are some other tasks and things. And then I'm also going to show you, like, this is my power hour sheet. So this is what I kind of tweak every week. I kind of look back through and what was working for me, what wasn't working for me. And then you can see that I break it down into, here are the things in the morning. So these 4 things right here, like before my kids get up, this is what I'm shooting to have happen. Or like once they're up and like maybe eating breakfast or something, like I'm working on these things. This is what I'm focusing on during nap time. And then random, meaning like while I'm sitting there with my daughter at 7:30 at night while she's watching a movie or something, I can check into my challenge group quick, or I can add my new friends. I can reach out to some of my challengers and so on. And then at nighttime, I really focus on trying to return my messages and calls and that kind of thing. So adding to your network, let's just start there. Let's start at that point. So adding to your network, that's so important because you eventually are going to run out of your warm market. You are eventually going to run out of people that you know from friends of friends. And so adding to your network just expands and it widens that net. And so what I have recently started doing, there's lots of ways that you can find friends of friends. If you are from around Northwest Iowa, though, there are a lot of Beachbody coaches in this area. And so what I've started doing is probably for the last 3 or 4 months, I honestly, not on purpose or not meaning to, have added people from Northwest Iowa. I've tried my hardest to branch away from Northwest Iowa. So how I've done that is I think of friends that I went to high school with that also went to Iowa State. I go to them and I go through their friends list, and if we have 6, 7 or more mutual friends, I send that person a friend request. That's one way that I've been doing it, rather than like on your phone or on Facebook where you can see people you may know. I don't ever go to that anymore because there tend to be people from around Northwest Iowa, and I'm trying to expand out of there and that kind of thing. So that's what I do. I look at people I went to high school with, and I look at people and those people that went to Iowa State, and I go through their friends list or people that I worked with at Iowa State. That's where I went to college, PS, by the way. And so then I go through their friends because we have things in common, because 9 times out of 10, they're people that went to Iowa State. So they went to Ames. We have that in common. We talk about that. It's not so awkward. I will say that adding to your network is probably one of the weird things, like you just randomly add somebody and you're like, you really don't know them. But when we have that mutual factor, and so now, like, once I kind of get through that list of people, then I'm probably going to go to those people that I've added, that we've really connected, and go through their friends list, because they probably have a lot of friends. Then we have mutual friends that went to Iowa State and so on. So what I do, though, and here's how I track it, because I never used to track my friend requests. And I would just be like, oh, so-and-so added me back. Awesome. Let me add them into my funnel, and so on and so on and so on. Here's what I do now. So I actually do this from my phone. So I'll go and I can show you. So I actually go through and find that friend that I'm looking for, or whatever, they're friends that I'm creeping through. And I actually, when I add them, I screenshot it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I just screenshot it. I add them and I screenshot it and I go through. So like right now, I did this before bedtime. I have 21 new friend requests that I sent out an hour ago. So what I do is then this is where I go into my Teamsy, all right? And I go into my Teamsy and I have my new contacts and I add them here. So like I add a new box, and the person I just added, her name is Darcy Doty. No idea who she is, but hey, she went to Iowa State. We have mutual friends, okay? And then I added her on 8/22. And the nice thing here is it tells me how many days they've been in this stage. How many days these people I just added today. So I don't always add them to my Teamsy right away, but this helps me track them, okay? So I screenshot them. When I have time, I come into Teamsy and I add them. So you can see right now I have 536 friend requests out there, like waiting for people to accept them. Facebook gets bogged down though. If you have so many friend requests out there, their algorithms, their stuff, like whatever. So if you look back on my Power Hour sheet, one of my things is to delete friend requests. So what I do is I come here to my new contacts, I scroll to the bottom, and I do this just like for, like I do like one of these a day. Here we go. Copy and paste. I don't want to lose that tab though. Copy and paste that person up here. Maybe. There we go. All right, and then I look to see, okay, did they accept my friend request? Maybe today. Probably not, because I go through and I look at who accepted me and whatnot, but anyways, it's being slow. But I hover over here and I click cancel request. So that cancels that request, and I take that person and I put them in the delete contact. All right, so that's how I track my friend requests, and I track who I'm adding and trying to keep that bogged down as much as possible. So you can see I sent her a request 35 days ago, so I can see that. If she added me back, then I move her here to this tab, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but then I move them over here once they've added me back as a friend, okay? So what I want you to do, let's see, are these from me? Oh yeah, I mean streak, sorry, my bad. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to take, I'm gonna time you for 3 minutes. I want you to go and add 10 people to your network. So you can either do that kind of my way. You can think of a person you went to high school with, maybe it's one of your good friends, go to their friends, all right, and kind of scroll through. If you have 5 or more mutual friends, send them a friend request. If this, in Streak here, if this doesn't work for you to track it that way, you don't have to do it that way. Just for me, it helps think about, am I doing these daily things? Writing them down. Did I send out 10 friend requests? Did I add 10 people? I know in Teamsy you can do it too. I don't track it this way though until I add them later. I don't think this thing is annoying. We're right there. Like I don't add people in there until I'm like to a certain point. But okay. So Megan, anything you want to add on adding people to your network?
Just make sure when you are adding people, let me take my head. When you're adding people that you kind of give like a quick glance. If it has like Riley, Megan, Kylie, don't add them on Facebook. Sometimes coaches get a little offended, but if you send me a friend request, if you're not my personally sponsored coach, more than not, like I don't add you back. And it's not because I hate you and I don't want to follow you. It's just because I only have 5,000 friends and I don't need 30 coaches seeing my posts, if that makes sense. I'm looking more towards finding new people. So most of you on here, like I have you on my actual Facebook page, but sometimes I don't add you back or add other coaches simply just because I'm building my team with my tribe and I don't need to be adding a ton of other Beachbody coaches. Also, if I see like Kylie's a friend, Riley's a friend, Megan's a friend, I'm probably not going to add them either, because if those 4 people are doing their job, they're probably not interested in joining me, unless of course it's like my mom and for some reason she's friends with all of you guys like me or something. So just be aware of like when you're adding people of their friends sometimes, because like if you know that that's Sloan's sister, don't add her on Facebook. It's just a waste of your time unless you guys are friends. And I just noticed that just because we're all in Northwest Iowa, or most of us are, and there's a lot of mutual friends, and it's not saying that if I add somebody that Riley knows that I'm trying to, be rude to Riley because we went to high school together. Like, we're going to know the same people. But just trying to be aware of that and being aware of your market. And then if you have a place, like let's say, I know Riley's probably big into this, but she has certain kind of dogs that she likes. She has certain kind of dogs that she shows. She probably could find Facebook groups and add people from there too, just that are like her. So I might find like I'm in a purple planner group because I have one of those planners I got from Erin Condren, and I'm in a group with those people because they like to be organized and crazy insane. So I add people from there and talk to them. But if you're going to be in those groups, you want to make sure you're posting about that information. And so I'm starting to post about teaching more, and then I'm going to put those posts in there too. So that's just another way to find new friends. And then, yeah, that pretty much, and I do pretty much the same thing as Kylie. I actually use Google Streak, but sometimes I use like my notebook for new friends that have added me back. I keep tabs on those people. And then once I get talking to them, having a conversation with them, then they go to Teamsy. So it's pretty much that same thing. So I'll let you guys go add people.
All right, you're on the clock for 3 minutes. I'm going to set a timer, and then we will move on.
Hey, I don't mean to bug you, but when you set up Google Streak, I have my old Google Streak, and so it doesn't have stages. Should I just set up like a new one and just move my people over?
Yeah, that's what I did. I just started basically from scratch. So,
okay.
Yeah. Because I don't know if there's probably a way that you can like update it, but I just started from scratch.
sorry, do you have a good way to find, I'm trying to find a video that will help them set up Google Streak too. If you use email, like you can just go to like Google and type in Google Streak, make sure you put Google in front of it. And then it should download to your Gmail, and then there should be like a thing that says Streak on your Gmail, but I'm trying to find a video for them to actually look at Google Streak. I'm trying to find that coach that did that video, but maybe I'll find it at the end.
All right, your 3 minutes are up too. But it was Melanie did it. It was one of her Dream Team calls. And I just watched that play by play and how she set it up, and then just kind of tweaked it to go my way too. So yeah, it should be in the Dream Team files somewhere. Okay, so I'm gonna keep moving on. Oops, I gotta share my screen again. This might go long, you guys, but we just kind of wanted to show you, give you some tips, and then also this thing I'm actually just gonna minimize this, so I don't know, that way it's not that way. Okay, so moving on to this one. So another one would be like logging your follow-ups here. So people from past no's, from free groups, from challengers, from coaches. Actually what I'm going to do, you guys, is I'm just going to go through my Power Hour sheet and kind of touch on some of these things. So obviously my miracle morning is when I do like my journaling and I read for 5-10 minutes, my workout, my happy birthday. So what I do is go to my home page, and then like there's always, I've done it already today, so but I send out the people that are actually, it's their birthday today. I shoot them a hey, happy, or on their timeline I say happy birthday, blah blah blah. And then what I do is go to, after you do that, on the bottom of that is a task where you can see other events or whatever, and I go to the people. So like today I went to the people's whose birthdays were yesterday, and I sent them a message. And I just say, hey, I hope you had a fabulous birthday yesterday. And sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't, but they're like, oh, thanks, I did. And then I'm like, well, did you get to do anything fun? And I just have a conversation with them. So rather than trying to bug them on their actual birthday, I send them that birthday request or birthday message from the day before. I know some people do it the day of. Kind of up to you where you go from there, but for me, that's just what works for me. So I send them, write them on their timeline, and then the previous day or the next day, then I send them that friendship or that birthday request. The other thing then too is after that, I sometimes put them into Teamsy. If it's somebody that I haven't talked to for a long time, I'll type them into my Teamsy. Like for example, let's just say yesterday is Megan's birthday. And so I click on Megan and I'm like, oh, let's see last time we actually talked. Oh wait, like I haven't marked her in here forever. Okay, so what I'm going to do is like in a week, I'm going to reach out to her and be like, hey, da-da-da, like how are you, you know, or whatever. However I want my conversation to flow with them. Sometimes I'll track them in there that way and kind of keep track of them that way. And that's what I love about Teamsy is that it keeps track of all that. I used to try that so hard, like in my notebooks and keeping track, and that just kind of flows with you that way. So for me, when we come back here, when it comes to past no's, to challengers, to coaches, all of that I keep track of in Teamsy. And the times that I follow up with them, it's different depending upon the person. But one of the things I've learned this year especially, and from watching Megan and things too, is that you can never follow up enough with somebody. And that's one thing I took away from her and from this year. And so every month, like I'm reaching back out to people, and Teamsy is where I track it all. I will admit, if you are an avid Teamsy user, like I don't really keep track of invites. Like everybody I talk to, everything I track in here, I do as a connection. Like I don't have time to be like, other, yes, da 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 da. Like I just don't do that. I relied back on looking at Messenger and seeing what we talked about before. So like I just log everything as a connection. Sometimes they're marked as customers or whatever. So that's just how I keep track of that. So what I want you to do now is, we'll let Megan add anything to there, but however you track them, and once they're in Teamsy, like you can see here, like I put people into Teamsy, and I don't keep track of them here. Like it's all here. And so I just go through, and that's the first thing. Like this is my true power hour right here. This is the bulk of my power. Like today, it was my whole hour and a half was doing Teamsy. Like this stuff I got done just in the cracks after my kids were up. But like Teamsy is where a lot of your time should be spent. And that's following up. That's reaching out to people. That's inviting people. That's this quadrant right here. Like following up. And I try to follow up, especially after I invite somebody, every 2 days. That's kind of my timeline because people get busy, people forget, so on. So this is where this green one right here for sure is where a big bulk of your time should be.
So I actually use Teamsy more than Google Streak because I use a lot of notebook and paper because when I'm at school, I actually don't really have good internet. So I've been using my notebook a lot, but I am like hardcore avid Teamsy. It's a 30-day free trial. If you want to just try it, you can download your contacts from Beachbody. You can download them from Facebook. You can get them all in there, or you can start like how Kylie did and add people in there who you're actually going to talk to. The only benefit I've seen from adding everybody in there is if you go to Teamsy, do you have your Teamsy open? Sorry. Right by your Gmail. There it is. Okay. And if you scroll down a little bit, do you see where it says like prospects? So those are people, do you see how it says like Emily, she's never talked to her? Or Melissa or Sarah. So once she gets through all of her follow-ups and her follow-ups say 0, she should be going back to the prospects and just reaching out to those people. So that's where I get a lot of new conversations from. So like my follow-ups say like I have 164 I have to get through. I'm going to go through all of those. And then if I have time tonight, I will go back through my prospects and I'll just message, like, hey, Gracie, how's it going? I hope your week is going awesome. And I can always look in that activity too and see, like maybe Kylie talked to Gracie and she said, like, hey, happy birthday. And they talked a little bit. And then she could go back and just say like, hey, how's your week going? Are you busy with school starting? Or just starting up a conversation. Or maybe she talked to Emily before about a challenge group and she just forgot to follow up or she fell through the cracks. She can go to that activity and say like, hey, Emily, oh my gosh, like, how are you? I wanted to reach out to you and you came to my mind first or something like that. Just kind of re-talking about the conversation and always say like, I loved talking to you about this concept, or I loved talking to you about fitness, or I loved talking to you about the 21-day fix. Did you end up starting your journey or something like that? So that's actually another place to find follow-ups. Even though her follow-ups say 0, prospects is another way to follow up with people. It's kind of new conversations, but it's also following up because if these people are in her Teamsy, they're in there for a reason. Whether they're on her Facebook, whether they're on Beachbody or whatever it is. So that's just another way that I do use Teamsy. So I guess we probably do that the same too. So.
That's a good point too. And if you haven't started Teamsy and you're going to, one of the things that I did that kind of set me back a little while was, so I uploaded all my contacts, which is awesome. Like definitely do that. But then I started going back through like all my paper and pencil and I tried to transfer those to Teamsy. If you upload Teamsy and start it, just start it. Don't like go back and be like, oh, let me figure out this and this and this. Just go and like still use your paper and pencil until you get everything in Teamsy and then go from there. Like that was one thing. And then I had like all these different conversations going and I'm like, wait a minute, like, did I talk to them? Did I not? And everything. So upload them for sure, but then just go. Like don't try to organize this because I was going through and trying to number people like, and I was just wasting so much time. One other thing too is, and that's I'm glad you said that because that's something that I need to start doing. But one of the things I've been doing too lately is going to my friends and doing the ABC. So if you guys have ever heard of this, so like I've been going through, there was one person, I can't remember, but like here, like, so what I would do is like, I'm on FI right now. So I go FA, FB, FC. So FI. And so I'm like, oh, Sarah, I'm like, I don't know if I've talked to her lately. So I go up here and I look for her, and now you guys can't see it, but I'm like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to reconnect with her on the 30th. Okay, good, she's in there. So that's something else that you could do too. I mean, that prospects makes it super easy, but that's just one way I've been trying to catch up and make sure if I'm getting people or not getting people, so on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna give you, well, I'm still gonna give you 3 minutes because we wanna make sure we can get through all this stuff. So 3 minutes just to kind of look through. Are there some people you can follow up with really quick that you maybe talked to yesterday, or they're wanting more information about the challenge group? Like scroll through your messenger, see who you can follow up with, and go from there. So you are on the clock. All right, that 3 minutes is up. So I was looking at the next quadrant, and I'm going to actually kind of combine these. So the next two are the actual invites, and then the connecting, the hey girls, not bringing up Beachbody. So what I'm going to do is kind of walk you through my process, walk you through my funnel system, and then kind of how they correlate, how they go together. So, and for me, these things, and this is kind of how it goes in order, and it actually goes in order more so on my streak. But this is all like these three right here. That's my process. That's my process of hey girling, inviting, messaging, however you want to look at it. So, so I add my people here. I got my new contacts. And then once they add me back, I put them in this lead in added back. Then at that point, that's where I am messaging my new friends. And so here, once they've added me back, I always scroll down and I look at, okay, who's been in here the longest? And I usually try to wait like a week or two before I actually message them. And I'm just like, hey, I've been meaning to message you. Life's just been kind of crazy. Not sure if we actually know each other, but, you know, we had some mutual friends and seem to have some stuff in common. I usually give them a compliment. Like if it's a picture of them and their kids, I say something about that. Or I'm just like, you are gorgeous, or just something like that or whatever. Send them a message. And then I move them into the next funnel, the next stage, which is after I've introduced them and we're building our relationship. So I usually wait about 2 weeks after they accept my request, send them my new friend message. So I go through new friend message, cross that off. Then what I've been doing is, so we're in this intro build. So what I do here is, and I used to set a timer, but now I just actually set a screen. So like in my power hour, these are the people I'm working with. Like I'm working on one screen full. So if that makes sense to you. So what I do here is all I'm doing is I'm going to Emily Highland's Facebook page and I'm liking and commenting on her last 2 or 3 posts. And then I move on to Kelsey and I'm liking her last 2 or 3 posts. And then I'm going to Chelsea and I'm liking her last 2 or 3 posts, etc. So I do that for all of these people right here. And then I move them into step 1. And you can name these whatever. This is just what they ended up being named. And I just know they go from one funnel to the next. So I go to their page and I kind of creep on them a little bit. And then if I notice anything, like this girl, 2 weeks or last week or whatever, she had posted, I just had my first round of chemo. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, good thing I saw that before. I'm like, hey girl, join my group, you know? So when I messaged her, I said, hey, I saw your post about, you know, your first chemo treatment. Like, just know you're in my thoughts and you're amazing and, you know, all this stuff. And she was like, that just made my day. She's like, thank you for saying that. So I try to go through and kind of creep on them a little bit before I'm messaging them, just to kind of see what's going on in their lives and things. So once I move them here, and then I come over here and I do the same thing one more time. So at this point, you know, I scroll down, I do the same thing. Like this is when I introduce myself. And so at this point, I'm going to Emily's page and I'm liking and commenting on a couple things, liking and commenting, blah, blah, blah. Then at this point, that's when I move these people to Teamsy. So after I've creeped on them 2 times in the last 2 weeks or whatever, then I move these people into Teamsy. And what happens then is I'm sending them, I call them my donut messages. So what I'm saying is, hey, I'm looking for, because at this point we should have some conversation, I should know them a little bit. I'm sending them my donut message, which is, hey, I'm looking for, you know, 5 to 10 people that I can help. Do you know anybody that's interested? It's not a direct invite, but I'm letting them know that I'm looking for people, that I'm seeing if people are interested, and so on. So that, to me, that's not a direct invite, but it's been kind of what I've been doing since May, and just saying, hey, you know, inviting them without actually inviting them. All right. So at that point, then they're in Teamsy. Once I send them that message, then I wait about a month and I do the same thing. I like and comment on their stuff once or twice, and then I actually shoot them an invite. Hey, I've got a new group starting. Would you be interested at all? And then my follow-ups every couple days. If they no response, then I add them back to check back in a month. So that's kind of my process and kind of how I go through, like, using Streak, using Teamsy, and see where they're going. So, you know, connecting, I try to connect and reach out with 10 people a day, and then inviting 10 to either a free group or a challenge group or coaching. So like I said, it took me a long time to get this figured out, and I just have all of those on my power hour sheet, and I'm just crossing them off and moving them from stage to stage to stage. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Megan, do you want to share? I have a crying child, so I'm going to let you talk, and then if you get done, just set a timer for 3 minutes, and I should be back by then.
Okay. So I wonder if, okay, I can't screen share because she is, but that's okay. So basically when I had her go through her Teamsy and it said the part where the prospects, that's where I get a lot of those hey girl messages from, because those are people I probably haven't contacted in a long time, or they're not on my like wheel to talk to. And so those are where I get some of my hey girl messages from. When I add people to Facebook, I actually don't message them right away. I used to do that, and I got a lot of like random, do I know you, like, questions. And so I was kind of just like, oh, I don't really know if I want to do that. So I add them to Facebook, and then I put them in like a list on Facebook. So like for the month of August or the month of July, you can make a friends list on Facebook, and you just add those people in there. And so then at night, instead of Facebook scrolling, go to that, friends list, and you can scroll just those certain people. And so I actually just created a friends list for my coaches. So that way every single one of you are going to get love from me, and not just some of you who pop up on my newsfeed. And so I made that switch too. So you can make friends lists on Facebook, and add people to those, and then go through those lists. The only thing is, if you do it on your phone, you have to add the list to your favorites. Otherwise it doesn't go through, like it doesn't work on your phone. You can do it on your computer, and I would show you, but I can't screen share with you. But that's one thing that I do with new people. And then I put them into Teamsy, and then I try to I just put a reminder to talk to them in a week. And then hopefully by then I've liked and commented on a lot of their stuff. Excuse me. And then also, that prospect area is a great place just to get new people from if you're using Teamsy. If you're not using Teamsy, just sending out new people or new messages, not Beachbody related. People actually really like to just talk on Facebook and stuff that I'd never really noticed before either. So that's always good too. And then she said inviting for free and challenge group and coaching opportunity. I get a lot of those invites from my posts. That's why I tell my coaches, if you're going to do anything, post on social media, because those people who comment and like on your stuff are free game. Like, they're initiating contact. I always say that. They're initiating contact, and so I can reach out to them and I can invite them, and it's not cold, it's not gross, because they've been liking my stuff. I do try to make it after I listen to the National Wake Up Call with, I think it was Haley Christian, I think is her name. I listened to hers, and she said, don't just send out like, hey, thanks so much for the love on my posts, because it's super boring and nobody cares about it. If you say like, hey, Riley, like, I hope your day is going as incredible as mine is. Thanks, for being my biggest supporter, or something like that on my journey, like making it more personalized, and then just changing it up a little bit, like, how are your dogs doing? Or like just creeping on them a little bit when you send a thank you, instead of just copying and pasting to 50 different people. So that's where I get a lot of my invites from, is from my posts. That's why I post a lot, and I try to really, dig deep into like what they need and stuff. So free groups usually come if I'm doing a free group, I'm posting about it and getting people in there. Or if I have issues with money, I usually say, hey, check out for my new free group. Coaching, a lot of that comes from my posts. Or if I'm scrolling on Facebook and I see somebody's like rocking their posting, or the challenge tracker app is where I get a lot of my coaches from. So yeah, I didn't have a timer. I was just talking. Sorry.
You're good. Kinsley was crying because she had a can of tomato paste in her bed and she hit her head on it. So, in case I don't know, you guys. Okay. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to actually, I'll give you 5 minutes to connect, and then also send out some invites if you have people that you're ready to invite, or if you need a little bit more time on the follow-up tab, that kind of thing. So I'll give you 5 minutes to do that. And then I think we're almost to the end. So, all right. All right, you guys. So we talked about adding to your network. We talked about following up with people. We talked about connecting, reaching out to those people, inviting them, however that looks like for you. And what is left on, let me share the screen back again. What's left on the quadrant sheet is the mentor. I'm guessing that's checking in with your coaches, but I'm not 100% sure. But workout, obviously non-negotiable. That should be something that you do every day, no matter what. Your shake, that should be something that you do every single day. Personal development, something that you should do every single day, 10 minutes, one chapter, whatever that looks like for you, adding in that personal development. Posting to your social media 2 to 3 times a day. You know, we talked about those pillars. What are the things that set you apart? Shoot to talk about those things, and that's how you create your following. I got to share, on Sunday, we were at Walmart looking for stuff, and all of a sudden we found this cauliflower and sweet potato rice that no one was there, but we just had never gotten it. And I was like, oh God, I'm like, I better post that I found it. And like, Kins and I took it, ended up having the same facial expression. You guys, I got over 100 likes. And to me, for a post like that, that was just crazy. I'm like, oh my gosh. But people have been following me talk about this stupid cauliflower rice for the last month and a half. Like, I grew that following based on cauliflower rice. Like, as crazy as that is, find your pillars. Find what people connect with, what draws them to you. I can't tell you how many messages I've gotten lately about what's Made to Crave. Is that good? Should I read that? What do you think about it? Can you do a group about Made to Crave? Like, the more you post about stuff, the more you stick to those pillars and the things that set you apart, the more that is going to draw people to you. I guarantee you tomorrow morning, if I went and tried to do a post like Megan does, nobody would like it because that's not me, right? And vice versa. If she threw up a post about like Made to Crave, people would be like, what is she talking about? Like, it's just we have our own things. We have our own pillars. So draw back to those, think about what those are, and add those quality posts on Facebook. Like Megan said too, those are the people that you get to connect with. Those are the people that actually, I don't want to say actually care, but those are the people that are interested in what you're sharing and what you're doing. And those are the people that are just waiting for you to reach out and message them. Check into the team page, check in and see what calls are happening, if there's any more updates, you know, that kind of thing. I like to log into my back office at least once a day and just check and see if anybody's maybe placed an order. I did an email out to my leads the other day, and I actually had one sign up, and if I wouldn't have checked, I wouldn't have noticed it, you know, that kind of thing. So looking through that. Checking into your challenge groups, that's huge. That should be, honestly, that should be up more towards the top, because challenge groups, challengers in general, that's where your work is. That's where the work starts, is once they sign up, getting them in that group, checking in, not just scrolling through and looking, you know, and logging your shake and your workout, but adding value to all those content, all those posts, reaching out to the people that are struggling, you know, helping your coach out and providing encouragement and support and that kind of thing. So checking in, being present in the group, you know, tagging your people in the post, that kind of thing. One of the other things, one of the other vital behaviors is recognition, you know, and that doesn't have to be public all the time, but just reaching out to a coach and saying, hey, you know, sending them a voice memo and checking in with them, or, hey, I loved this post, like, you did such a great job with that, you know, that kind of thing. Or even challengers, reaching out to a challenger who maybe posted. And like Megan said, those are the people that are going to turn into coaches. And so the people that are commenting, the people that are posting, those are the people to reach out to check in with, and go from there. So that is basically it in a nutshell. The things that you should be doing, and how, I'll be honest, the way that I got to this list, the way that I got to this point was I sat down and I said to myself, and this is what we're going to leave you with tonight. What I said to myself was, what are the 10 things that I need to do every single day to move my business forward? What are those 10 things? And some of them aren't on this list because they're just does. They're givens. Like, you don't see anywhere on here that I have posts on social media. Like, that is just a given. I don't need to mark that off. My workout, I probably don't need to mark it off, but I just like being able to cross it off, okay? So what I want you to do is think about those 10 things. And working out could be one of them. Posting could be one of them. Maybe you still struggle with making sure that you're doing it. But what are the 10 things that you need to do every single day, without a question, without a doubt, has to be done to move your business forward, to move you to that next level? And that's where you start. And maybe it looks exactly like this sheet, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it could just be this sheet, and you could say, hey, this is what I need, right? This is what my 10 things are. But you start there and you tweak it every week. You say, hey, I really struggle at this. Like, to be honest, you guys, Teamsy, like when I see how many follow-ups I need to do, I hate it. Like my stomach cringes. I'm like, oh gosh, this used to be down here at the bottom. And guess what hardly ever got done? Checking into Teamsy. And if I'm not doing follow-ups, I'm not doing anything. None of this stuff matters if I'm not following up with people. So I notice how I moved it to the top, and I'm like, you cannot do any of this stuff until this gets done. Because messaging people from my like page doesn't matter. Following up with people in Teamsy, that matters. That's the difference. So taking the things that you struggle with the most and moving them towards the top to make sure that they get done, okay? So I'm not going to set the timer. I'm going to let you guys ask some questions if you have them, or if you want to hang out for 5 minutes and make your list of 10. But that's what we want you to do. And I want you to, once I upload this link, this recording, in the elite mastermind group or whatever, I want you to take a picture of your 10 things or whatever this chart looks like. And if this chart, you guys, if this doesn't work for you, if you're like, oh my gosh, like boxes and X's and checks, like I don't like that, make something that works for you. Maybe this works for you. Okay, so figure out what does and tweak it. But I want you to share a picture of your 10 things. You know, what are those 10 things that you can go to bed every night and say, yep, I moved my business forward today. I did what I needed to do. And set a timer. So 10 things, 30 minutes, 3 minutes each. How much can you get done in that 3 minutes when you're on the clock? And scrolling your Facebook and that kind of thing doesn't happen, doesn't come up. Okay? So I'm going to keep this open for 5 more minutes. If you want to do your list of 10 right now, go for it. If you have questions, go for it. I will just kind of hang out and shut it down at 9:30.
I have a question. So I used to have plenty of time in the morning to do PD and stuff. Now it's like 4:30 or 4:45. So we wake up and we work out, and then like as I'm going to school, that's when I'm like getting my stuff posted and everything. So when I get to school, I can just like shut my brain off. I was listening to like National Wake Up Call, and like I can get those on my computer. I know that's not necessarily like PD. It kind of is, but it's not necessarily. Would you recommend like, because I like when I get home, I really struggle with sitting down and reading a book. I feel like I should be doing something else. However, I know like if I'm not reading or listening to something, then I'm not sending out the best invites. So I've been listening to like rap music and like stuff that pumps me up instead. And I know that's not PD, but I didn't know if anyone had any like tips or tricks or anything to get in PD. I try to listen to like an audiobook, but unless it's on my computer, because my phone, like I don't get service at all. So I wonder.
One of the things I was doing last year, because really the only reason I have time in the morning to do any of that stuff is because I don't have to be anywhere, you know. But what I started doing last year was, as soon as I got in my classroom, like honestly from 8 to 8:15, I sat down and just read like for that 15 minutes. And so because it was like after the rush of the morning and getting there and doing this, I'm like, okay, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes to just sit and read or listen, you know, or like during my prep, I would play something. But I think listening to calls is, I would count that when I was driving all the time. Like that's just what I did. I didn't have time to listen or to read extra. So like I would just turn on Dream Team Call or whatever. And podcasts, like I'm kind of getting into podcasts. You can download those and not use data or Wi-Fi, I think. Can't you do that with Audible too, I think? Download them or does it not, it still doesn't work?
I don't know. I just have been using my computer, my school computer, because I can listen to podcasts on like my school computer. It's not against the rules or whatever. They just don't want you online shopping. So maybe that will save my budget, but.
Yeah, Riley, I used to do that all the time too. Like lunch and prep, I would always have just Melanie in the background and I struggle with that now because I don't have that extra time to just listen to a call. Like where when I was teaching, I got so much more of those calls in and stuff. But
yeah. Yeah, because I know I have like 30 minutes there and 30 minutes back, but like on the way home, like that's kind of when Aaron and I like decompress. And on the way there is when I do videos or I post quick or just so I can like let my brain shut off for 8 hours. So I'll try that.
And even 10 minutes, you know, like in the morning, I just read 10 minutes. Like when I'm drinking my Energize, I'm just like, okay, 10 minutes, here we go. And that's all I do.
Let's see.
Is this the Melanie video that you posted in the comments?
Yeah, it was, somebody else did the call, like Sarah something is what I was looking for. But yeah, that's the one. That's actually how I set mine up at first, but then I got a new, my email thing like transferred over. I must have set it up on like my school one. And so I was trying to redo it, but the stages didn't show up as like 0, 1, 2, 3. They show up as like new contact, like as a category. So I have to go back through and watch it. So, but yeah.
Copy that link and I'll I'll post it below this one when I upload it, but.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, any other questions, you guys? Sorry we went like way over, but hopefully this helped a little bit.
I think if anything, like for me to go to bed, I just have to know I posted on social media, know I, like had my shake and worked out and stuff. And honestly, just know I talked to a couple of people, had a good conversation, and then I added people to my notebook before I can go to bed, because those are people who are like interested type of thing. Like this summer, it was like, I'm signing someone up today. Like I felt like I did something. And I mean, obviously, it could happen every single day, but sometimes if it doesn't, like I got to that point where I was getting really down on myself that like, oh, I haven't signed anybody up in 4 days, like that doesn't mean you're not doing your job. Like, that kind of thing. So just knowing that, like, I think we've always talked about, it's not like gratification right away. Like it happens like as you keep going and as you keep building and stuff too. So.
Yep. And lately for me, it's been the days that I don't want to do it the most are the days where I'm the most rewarded. Like it's usually on Friday afternoon where I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's Friday afternoon. My kids are driving me nuts. Like I just want to lay down and just watch a movie. But I sit down and I go through Teamsy, do my power hour, and somebody signs up, I
actually noticed more people sign up during the week than they do. Like Saturday night is awful for people. Like they'll message me all day Saturday, but if I get to like Saturday night, that's usually when my posts don't do very well. But then like, because I had a couple of people that I sent links out like on Thursday or something, and I messaged them on Friday, and then I didn't hear back from them until like Sunday night when they're like, oh my gosh, I'm ready, So I don't know if even, I work more on the weekends because I'm at school now, but it was nice to see that like showing up on Saturday, messaging them, asking them, showing up on Sunday and asking them, like then they signed up. So it was nice that, I don't know. Mm-hmm. That they like reached back out or whatever, but yeah, just know that even though people aren't messaging you back, they still read your post or your message.
Well, and one of the things I've noticed too is, the more you talk back and forth with somebody or message somebody, you ever notice that their stuff pops up on your Facebook?
Yeah.
Those lovely algorithms. So like even those connecting messages and those reaching out messages, you're having conversation, and so you see their stuff more and they see your stuff more too.
Yep.
So awesome. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop